I was a fighter, one fight more, the last and the best, remembering Rashbehari Bose's contribution to the Indian freedom movement. One of the unsung heroes of the Indian freedom struggle, Rashbehari Bose, whose contribution to India's independence can be best categorized as subterranean. His role and contribution in providing the much needed lifeblood to the national struggle may not have found suitable space in the annals of history. Nonetheless, his relentless role while being in a foreign land in Japan towards realizing the dream of independent India puts him parallel in stature to the likes of leaders like Subhash Chandra Bose, Bhagat Singh, Chandrasekhar Azad and others. Rashbehari Bose was born on 25th May 1886 in the village of Suboldaho, Burdwan in the province of Bengal. His mother passed away in 1889 when Rashbehari was still a child. His early education was completed under the supervision of his grandfather Kalicharan Bose at the village Pathshala, presently Suboldaho Rashbehari Bose FP School. Rashbehari Bose was taught Lathi Khela in his childhood. He got the inspiration of revolutionary movements hearing stories from his grandfather. His father, Binod Bihari Bose, was stationed in Chandannagore, Hooghly district for a few years. So Bose studied at Duttaroy College there with his friend Srish Chandra Ghosh. The principal, Charuchandra Roy, inspired them into revolutionary politics. Later, he joined modern school in Kolkata. At this time, Chandannagore was under French rule. Thus, Rashbehari was influenced by both British and French culture. The French Revolution of 1789 had a deep impact on Rashbehari. He was not a very attentive student. He was a daydreamer. His mind was preoccupied with revolutionary ideas. He was more interested in his physical prowess than in studies. Bose was interested in revolutionary activities since his school days. Rashbehari got hold of a well-known revolutionary novel called Anandamot, or The Abbey of Bliss, written by the noted Bengali novelist, poet and thinker Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, and he also read the famous Bengali poet Nobin Chandra Sen's Polashir Juddha, a collection of patriotic poems. He read nationalistic speeches by orators and revolutionaries like Surendranath Banerjee and Swami Vivekananda. Rashbehari Bose did not get a chance to complete college because his uncle got him a job at Fort William. From there, he was transferred to the government press, Shimla, on his father's wish. He was appointed a copy holder in the press and was able to master English and typewriting. After some time, he moved to the Pasteur Institute at Kasauli, but Rashbehari was not happy with these jobs. On his colleagues' advice, Rashbehari went to Dehradun as a guardian tutor in the house of Pramodnath Tagore. He got a clerical post at the Forest Research Institute, Dehradun, where through hard work he became a head clerk. At Dehradun, he met Amorendranath Chatterjee, a revolutionary of the Jugantar group led by Jyotindranath Mukherjee or Bagha Jyotin, and secretly got involved with his revolutionaries of Bengal. And he came across eminent revolutionary members of the Arya Samaj in the United Provinces, currently Uttar Pradesh and the Punjab. The first partition of Bengal in 1905 and the events that followed in its wake drew Rashbehari into revolutionary activities. Rashbehari concluded that the government would not yield without revolutionary action on part of the patriots. He started gearing up his revolutionary activities under the guidance of Jyotindranath Bandopadhyay or Swami Niralam Goswami, an eminent revolutionary leader. Rashbehari Bose played a key role in the Delhi conspiracy case, which was an attempted assassination on the British Viceroy Lord Hardinge, the Benares conspiracy case and the Ghadar conspiracy case. Rashbehari suddenly came into prominence after 23rd December 1912 when bombs were thrown at Lord Hardinge, the then Viceroy of India. Bose was the mastermind behind this attack. Hardinge was hurt in the attack, though not killed. There was a big manhunt to capture Bose and his accomplices, but Bose never got caught. Three others involved, Bashanta Kumar Bishwas, Awadh Bihari and Amit Chand, were caught, tried and executed. The attempt happened on the occasion of the transfer of India's capital from Calcutta to Delhi. A homemade bomb was thrown at the Viceroy's howdah when the procession was moving in the Chandni Chowk area. This event came to be called the Delhi Conspiracy Case or the Delhi-Lahore Conspiracy Case. During the First World War, Rashbehari became extensively involved as one of the leading figures of the Ghadar Revolution that attempted to trigger a mutiny in India in February 1915. Trusted and tried Ghadarites were sent to several cantonments to infiltrate into the army. The idea of the Ghadar leaders was that with the war raging in Europe and most of the soldiers going out of India, the rest would be easily won over. But the revolution failed and most of the revolutionaries were won over. Thereafter, Rashbehari Bose left Calcutta on 12 May 1915. He went to Japan as Raja P.N. Tagore, a distant relative of Rabindranath Tagore. Some historians say that Rabindranath Tagore was aware of this impersonation. Rashbehari reached Singapore on 22nd May 1915 and Tokyo in June 1915. During this period, he met Hirambolal Gupta and Bhagwan Singh of the Ghadar party. Japan was an ally of Britain in the First World War and tried to extradite Rashbehari and Hirambolal from Japan. Hirambolal escaped to USA and Rashbehari became a journalist and writer. He took part in many cultural activities and wrote many books in Japanese explaining India's viewpoints. He found shelter with various Pan-Asian groups between 1915-18 and he changed residences and identities numerous times as the British kept pressing the Japanese government for his extradition. He married the daughter of Aizo Soma and Koko Soma, the owners of Nakamuraya Bakery in Tokyo, who were noted Pan-Asian supporters in 1918. He became a Japanese citizen in 1923, living as a journalist and writer. It is also significant that he was instrumental in introducing Indian-style curry in Japan. Though more expensive than the usual British-style curry, it became quite popular, with Rashbehari becoming known as Bose of Nakamuraya. Bose, along with A.M. Nair, was instrumental in persuading the Japanese authorities to stand by the Indian revolutionaries and ultimately to officially actively support the Indian independence struggle abroad. He convened a conference in Tokyo between 28th to 30th March 1942, which decided to establish the Indian Independence League. At the conference, he moved a motion to raise an army for the Indian independence. He convened the second conference of the League at Bangkok on 22nd June 1942. It was at this conference that a resolution was adopted to invite Subhash Chandra Bose to join the League and take its command as its president. When Subhash Bose reached Singapore in 1943, Rashbehari willingly handed him the leadership. The Indian prisoners of war captured by the Japanese in Malaya and Burma, France, were encouraged to join the Indian Independence League and become the soldiers of the Indian National Army or the INA. The INA was formed on 1st September 1942 as the military wing of Rashbehari Bose's Indian National League. He selected the flag for the Azad Hind movement and handed over the flag to Subhash Chandra Bose. But although he handed over the power, his organizational structure remained, and it was on the organizational framework of Rashbehari Bose that Subhash Chandra Bose built the Indian National Army, also called the Azad Hind Fauj. Prior to his death, the Japanese government honored him with the Order of the Rising Sun. Rashbehari had a dominating personality. He was a nationalist but believed in the natural cooperation, as was apparent during the two world wars. In social matters, he was liberal, having no caste or creed distinction. In India, he led an austere but unconventional life, yet was calm in temperament. After marriage, he led a happy family life. His position in the Indian revolutionary movement was unique. He started his political career from Chandannagore and Calcutta, having links with the Maniktala Garden group through Sri Chandra Ghosh. While in Dehradun and Punjab, he worked with the local people, enjoying their full confidence. He was above regionalism. His remarkable organizing talent was evident during the Second World War when he formed the INA. India still remembers the legendary Rashbehari Bose in various ways. The token aspects in his remembrance were as follows. In Shuboldaho, Burdwan district, which is Rashbehari Bose's birthplace, there is a pitched road from Pasanda to Shah Husseinpur via Shuboldaho called Rashbehari Bose Road, and a bridge across Devkhal, a distributary of river Damodar, named as Biplavi Rashbehari Bosu Setu. There is a Rashbehari Bose museum and a house where Rashbehari was born, and is however demolished, and only the Tulsi Tala, or the place of worship, remains today. The West Bengal government plans to set up a tourist center here, and the primary school Pathshala, where he once studied, has been renamed Shuboldaho Rashbehari Bose FP School. The Rashbehari Bose Shishu Shiksha Kendra has been set up by the government, and a statue of Rashbehari Bose also adorns the birthplace. In Chandannagore, Rashbehari lived in his parental house and studied at the Duttaroy College, Chandannagore. Remembers Rashbehari with a plaque bearing the caption Rashbehari Avenue near the station road, and a statue of Rashbehari Bose at Fatakgora. There is also a Rashbehari Research Institute engaged in research connected with Rashbehari Bose at Bagbazar, and the residence of Rashbehari Bose and his family still stands today. The Duttaroy College, currently called the Kanailal Vidya Mandir, having a majestic structure, as well as the Duttaroy Museum on the Strand, having a photo gallery with Rashbehari's photos. Rashbehari Bose's revolutionary activities in school days were spent in Kolkata. Here we can see a majestic statue at Esplanade, and the Canning Street has been renamed after Rashbehari Bose. The Calcutta Corporation has 2 patented shelters with Rashbehari Bose's pictures embossed on them. A postal stamp and a first day cover was released by the Postal Department, Government of India, as early as 1967. Mukherjee Shodon adorns the portrait of Rashbehari Bose too. At the Forest Research Institute, Dehradun, where Rashbehari spent 8 years, a photo of Rashbehari Bose adorns the photo gallery of the museum. A road named after Rashbehari exists in the campus of the institute. The red building, though dilapidated, still exists, where Rashbehari worked as a clerk when he planned to assassinate Lord Hardinge in 1912 and then organized the Ghadar uprising. Many books have been written on Rashbehari Bose in Indian language, English and Japanese. The National Archives, the British Library London, records of the Foreign Affairs Department Japan, the West Bengal State Archives preserve the archival records concerning Rashbehari Bose. Every year, India remembers Rashbehari Bose on his birth and death anniversary, which is observed by the Government of India. He was one of the silent heroes of the Indian freedom movement. He was a revolutionary leader of outstanding class. The sacrifices of Rashbehari went a long way to secure India's independence. The life history of Rashbehari Bose outlines the historical struggle of the 2 countries, India and Japan. It reveals the multifaceted nature of the Indo-Japanese connection.
पर चमके भारत नाम सुहागा। जय हो जय हो जय हो, जय 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 हो।
Thank you.